So, let's dive right in to the very first page of the New Testament. You open it up, ready for this grand story, and what's the first thing you see? Not a miracle, not a sermon, but a long, long list of names. The book of the generation of Jesus Christ, the son of David, the son of Abraham.
And let's be honest, right? This is the point where a lot of us might just tune out. It feels like a roadblock, one begat after another that just seems to get in the way of the good stuff. But what if I told you this isn't a roadblock at all? What if it's actually the key, the decoder ring, to understanding the entire story that's about to unfold?
Right from that very first sentence, Matthew is making a huge claim. By calling Jesus the son of David and the son of Abraham, he's immediately linking him to two of the biggest promises in history. We're talking about the promise of a king and a kingdom, and the promise of a covenant that was meant to bless the whole world. So you see, this isn't just some dusty old family tree. It's a resume.
And as you go through this list, it really does feel like this epic, ancient record. You've got patriarchs, you've got kings, you've got ordinary guys. Just a chain of fathers and sons stretching across hundreds and hundreds of years. It feels kind of overwhelming. And honestly, that's the point. This is the sheer weight of history, all leading to one single critical moment.
Okay, but here's the cool part. Hidden inside this dense list is this beautiful, deliberate structure. See, Matthew isn't just copying down names from some ledger. He's an artist, and he's arranging all of history to tell a very specific story about who Jesus is. And to see it, you just need to know the code.
The first clue is this number, 14. Matthew points out that from Abraham, the father of the whole nation, all the way to the great King David, there are exactly 14 generations. This is the Golden Age, the rise of Israel's kingdom. Then we get a second group of 14. This chunk of time takes us from the absolute peak of David's kingdom all the way down to its most tragic moment, the Babylonian exile. This was a time of national collapse, of total crisis.
And you guessed it, there's a third set of 14 generations. This last group covers those long, often quiet years from the return from exile all the way to the birth of Christ. 3 neat sets of 14. That is absolutely not an accident.
So when you lay it all out like this, you can see it plain as day. It's a perfect narrative arc. You have the rise of the kingdom, the fall of the kingdom, and then the restoration of the kingdom in Christ. Matthew is basically showing us that all of history, with all its triumphs and disasters, was always moving toward this one person. It's like a divinely written screenplay.
So, the structure is perfect, right? It's symmetrical, it's clean. But what about the people in the story? Well, if you look a little closer at the actual names on that list, you find something that just completely shatters any idea of a perfect, squeaky clean lineage. Now, this is where things get really interesting. In a genealogy from this time, you would expect to see only fathers and sons. It was a patriarchal list. But Matthew does something totally remarkable. He intentionally includes 4 women, and not just any women. Each one of them brings a story of scandal, or foreign identity, or just plain brokenness right into the heart of this royal line. You've got Tamar, whose story involves some serious family deception. There's Rahab, a Gentile and a prostitute. You have Ruth, a foreigner from an enemy nation. And then there's Bathsheba, who isn't even mentioned by her own name, but only by her tragic connection to King David's greatest sin, her that had been the wife of Uriah. Including them sends a powerful message. God's plan has always worked through messy lives and broken people. So we've had this grand sweeping overview of history with kings and kingdoms and exiles. And then suddenly, Matthew zooms the camera all the way in. He focuses on one family and one very, very personal crisis. The story shifts from the public record to a private, gut-wrenching dilemma. I mean, just imagine this situation. Mary is espoused to Joseph. This wasn't just dating, it was a legally binding engagement. But before they've even finalized the marriage, she's pregnant. In their culture, this was an absolute catastrophe, a scandal that could lead to public humiliation, or even worse. And this moment tells you everything you need to know about Joseph's character. The text calls him a just man, and he is caught in an impossible spot. On one hand, he could follow the law to the letter and make her a public example. But his heart, his kindness, leads him to another plan. He decides to put her away, to end the engagement quietly, privately, to spare her from all that shame.
But while Joseph was agonizing over this, just trying to find the most merciful human solution possible, a divine solution intervened. As he was weighing all these options, an angel appeared to him in a dream.
And listen to the very first thing the angel calls him, Son of David. That's no accident. The angel is connecting Joseph's private crisis directly back to that epic royal lineage we just read through. It's like he's saying, Joseph, this isn't just about you. This is part of that grand story. He's told not to be afraid and that this child is literally from God.
Then the child is given a name and a mission, straight from heaven. His name will be Jesus, which means Yahweh saves, and that is his exact purpose. He's not coming to save them from the Romans, but from something much deeper, their sins. And Matthew, our narrator, wants to make absolutely sure we get this. This miraculous event isn't just some random thing that happened. No, it is the perfect fulfillment of a promise that was made centuries earlier by the prophet Isaiah.
All of this, the virgin conception, the birth of this son, it was all spoken of long, long ago. Matthew is connecting the dots for us, showing that God has been carefully orchestrating this exact moment through all those messy, complicated generations.
And right here, we get the ultimate meaning, the climax of the whole chapter. The prophecy gives the child another name, Emmanuel, and Matthew immediately translates it for us, God with us. Think about that. The God of Abraham, the God of David, the God who seemed so far away during the exile and the silence, is now here, physically present among his people.
So Joseph wakes up from that dream, and in an act of just quiet, courageous faith, he does exactly what the angel told him to do. He takes Mary as his wife, and when the child is born, he claims him as his own, and he called his name Jesus.
So we end up right back where we started. That long list of names, it's not a barrier at all. It's the foundation. It shows us that the birth of Jesus wasn't some random interruption in human history, but the destination it was always heading for. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How does knowing the long, patient, and often messy story of God's work in the past change how we see his presence in our own lives, right here and now?